It's hard. One of the things that, like words like equity is progressives and liberals' favorite thing to do is hashtag stuff like equity or talk about equity or, all these workshops about equity. One, equity is supposed to be a path towards justice. You're not supposed to live in equity forever. Equity is like trying to recalibrate the scales so that those who've been oppressed the longest, those who don't have access, have more access so that we can start having some kind of justice. Yeah, and that's what justice, being just means that everything's in its right place, that it is even, that everyone has this equal opportunity. If we know that society does not set people up, if you are black and brown, then you are less likely to have access. And whether it's healthcare, whether it's the amount of black women who die or almost die during childbirth, whether it's the amount of black people who have access to quality health care, the amount of doctors who feel that black people feel more pain so need less care. All of this stuff, right, is about an inequitable system, right? And that goes all the way to how schools are funded, who leads what schools, who teaches at what schools, all of that stuff, right? And so this idea of how do you pursue equity and justice within a school while the system or society is corrupt, like it takes a lot of thinking and it's not easy. And it's something that, one, I think where you start off is recognizing that, like, hey, there are inequities that are baked into our school and our system. There are a lot of schools that don't even want to talk about that, can't even acknowledge it, can't even fathom that. Because again, they believe that as soon as you say, I work at a school, that everything else magically disappears. All your isms, just magically disappear. Well, first thing you have to acknowledge, like, no, it doesn't. Secondly, like, we have to constantly confront our own work, our own thought patterns, our own processes to make sure. We have to interrogate ourselves individually as well as collectively to make sure. So it first starts with the mindset. What is the mindset? Do you feel you've already arrived because you work in a school that's full of black children? Or do you feel like, you know what, I have an honor to work with these students, and so now I'm going to try to make sure that I am always being reflective and being just. If you're not a reflective community, there's no way in the world you can start working towards equity, and you'll never reach being a just school. Dr. Howard Fuller talks about that, after enslavement, after the Emancipation Proclamation, when schools started opening, the two groups of white people who came to educate or come open up schools were the missionaries, the saviors, or the capitalists. Like, those were the groups who came. The capitalists felt like, I need you to have this level of education to be able to work in this, what's become an industrialized nation for me, right? The saviors were saying, you're not my equal, but your lot should be better than what it is currently is. Not enough to be my equal, but I'm gonna give you, you're not being treated right by everybody else. I'm gonna give you a little bit more.
This oddly sounds like 2020 for some reason.
It could have been written, some of the stuff that was written in 1900 could be written in 2020 and you wouldn't know, right? And so it's some of the same, and that's exactly what Dr. Fuller was talking about. That same mindset and that same thinking is prevalent today as well, right? And so that's the stuff that, again, we have to confront. Like, when I would hire teachers, I'll say, why do you want to work in a school where you're white? Why do you want to work here? Like, I want them to answer that, right? And so there are folks, even folks who participated in the interview on my team, like, I ain't never heard anybody ask that question. Like, I want to know. I'm curious. You're white. Why are you coming here to work? Have you ever worked for a black man before? Have you ever taken orders from black men before? Right? And so, like, these are questions because I want them to confront race. And, a lot of times people are like, race shouldn't be talked about in schools, anywhere, in society, right? Like, it's a subject that a lot of people in America have been conditioned to avoid.
But it governs everything.
It influences every single waking breath, right? But we don't want to talk about it, right? We want to ignore it, And so, like, the one thing that had as a principal who could hire a staff. I can ask questions like that, but also I wanted to make sure that our team felt comfortable asking that and confronting it. And I would say that, it's not just, white people. Like I've also shared with individuals, like, sometimes middle-class black people have a negative mindset about poor black children. These are the children that your parents, raised you to avoid. Like you moved somewhere to get away from these children. Now you're back and you want to do good work, but there's something about your upbringing, about your psyche, about your mindset, about these children that's hindering you from building relationships with them. You don't understand them. You think they're this or that, and they you think that they just need to improve themselves, pull themselves up by their bootstrap, whatever it is. That's a constricted thinking about these children. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna struggle with working with it. I don't know if you're the right fit for here, right? And so all of that. So it's complex. It's not an easy thing. And teaching itself, the art and science teaching, it's one of the most beautiful things. And it's also one of the most complicated, complex things. And so, a big part of it though is expectations, mindset, your skill, and your will. What is your will to change your skill level? What is your will to change your mindset, to examine and interrogate and change your mindset? All of that thing is relevant as a teacher, as a leader. And those are the type of things that too much of that is being done in service. Like once you arrive school, 99%, 100% of it needs to begin pre-service while you're still in college, going to your teacher colleges. It's too often that people are arriving and haven't wrestled with any of that. So what we need is for the entire ecosystem of education, pre-K to 16 education system, to start being way more reflective, the academics to be way more action-oriented, for everyone to feel like they are accountable to themselves, to each other, and whoever it is that they are serving. That's how we start, revolutionizing and reimagining public education. Right now, people go around like public schools is a public good. For my people, it's been a public bad. So what are we doing to change it? And don't tell me we just need more money. Because I don't care how much money you throw at a racist police department, they ain't changing because of the money. They're going to become more potent in their ignorance. Right? And so this whole idea of just adding money to a system, that's what you hear from all the presidential candidates. What are you going to do? I'm going to give more money. Like that means you don't know shit. You don't know anything about what is actually happening. What is the experience? The pre-K to 12th grade experience. What's their experience in communities as a young child beforehand? What's their experience in being in the womb of a black parent and them receiving whatever it is that they receive from institutions? Like that means you are so colossally removed that you can't possibly come up with the solution.
Thank you so much for watching I Never Knew TV.
Please subscribe, comment, like, share.